Yes, well, and welcome to the Sunday Footy Show. A month of footy under our belts now. Plenty to get through to dissect all of the action and hopefully brighten up your Sunday morning. Billy Slater, Andrew Johns and Brad Fittler. How are we, gents?
Morning, Em.
Hey.
Big show ahead as always. So let's take a look at what is coming up this morning. Upsets galore in round 4. You absolutely could not pick them this round. The boys spill their best memories from the Ashes series. It is back. Can't wait for that. Rod Wishart on the award-winning segment Turn It Up. And Freddy's pass-off is back with some more very keen junior footy stars. Be good to have Rod on Turn It Up, Joe. Are you looking forward to this one?
One of the great fellas.
Hopefully.
Absolute champion.
Legend.
Plenty of memories to get through, so stick around for that a little bit later in the show. But first off, we're going to recap the results so far for round 4. And yes, upsets galore. The Doggies undefeated at the top of the table at the moment. The Cowboys got their first victory of the season. So too the Dragons. This was a big upset over the Premiership heavyweights, the Melbourne Storm. The Broncos winning the Battle of Brisbane. The Titans with a big comeback win over the Roosters. Their worst start to a season since 2016. And the 3 or 4-time defending premiers, the Panthers, have now lost 3 in a row. So Wayne Bennett's Bunnies keep on proving the doubters wrong. So after round 4, Bill, how does the ladder stand at the moment with a couple of games still to come for Savo?
Well, you just mentioned them off the top there, Em. The Bulldogs, 4 from 4. They're sitting pretty on the top of the ladder. The Melbourne Storm going down to the Dragons. They slip down to 3rd. Titans and Broncos round off the top 4. Manly Seagulls and Parramatta have got to play this afternoon, so Manly can jump back into the top 4. And Parramatta are still looking for their first win of the year. Them and the Dolphins winless after 4 rounds, or after 3 rounds, 4 for the Dolphins. But you say the Dogs, they're on their own after 4 rounds. Who would have thought, without a whole heap of stars, but they are a team.
I think it's a bit of a changing of the guard. Different teams are going to be in the 8 this year. Some of the mainstay we've seen over the last half a dozen years.
Well, this team will be.
They'll be top 4.
No team works harder than the Bulldogs. They mightn't be the biggest side, they mightn't have the biggest names, but they work the hardest in the little areas of their game. They hang their hat on. Harry Hayes, how long have we got to talk about the Bulldogs? Because you can go through every player and they're playing incredible.
I love
his
their
try
halves.
save, Harry Hayes.
Their halves. Jeez,
Fantastic.
Their halves, Kurt Mann coming off the bench.
Jack Todd making his debut as well. Incredible scenes.
Yeah, so
His
good.
parents had to drive 8 hours, so to be there for the jersey presentation.
Looked like his mates were on a party bus too on the,
They
all
were.
the way down. But
They had lots of fun.
they were having fun.
Do you get jealous when you see that? You want to be part of it?
Party bus.
Yeah, always.
Time for our Sunday salute. Freddie, what do you got this week?
I don't know. I'm just thinking of Joey on a party bus. We've been on a party bus together.
Yeah.
That would be dangerous.
We look at the kangaroo tour shots.
Oh.
Wow. Anyway, every fan loves to think every weekend their team can win. I think what we've seen on the weekend is an example of that. The team that comes 16th beat the Premiers, South Sydney. They were incredible. 28-0 at half-time. Just a superb half of football. The second half, the Panthers got back in, a bit unlucky with Moses Leota. No try. Then, of course, the Dragons the following day up against the Melbourne Storm. They were a bit softened by the weather, Melbourne Storm, but the Dragons, they just fought for everything. In the first 10 minutes, they just defended their line. I've got to say they weren't clinical, but they just kept fighting and their defence held up. So congrats to the Dragons and the Bunnies. They're on track.
How good. Sorry to all the tipsters out there who had a horrible round so far. Hard to tip. Joey, your Sunday salute for this morning?
Mine's the Newcastle Knights under-16s winning the Andrew Johns Cup. Now, Freddie, I understand these are teams from all country areas.
All the group areas out in the bush, yep.
And big effort. All local juniors coming through and production line of local juniors hopefully pushing through to the NRL, but also next year in the SG Ball and the Jersey Flag. So well done, boys. Congratulations.
Good on them. Some stars of the future there. And Bill, to round it off, who's your salute?
I'm going to salute the career of Justin Olam. Obviously, unfortunately, this week Justin Olam's career was announced that come to an end, medically retired. He's had a bit of a knee issue for a number of years now, and he's succumbed to that. But what a player. Hails from Papua New Guinea. He's actually got a bachelor's degree in physics, was a member of this team in 2020, the premiers, and also the centre of the year back in 2021. So an amazing career and, one to be celebrated.
I used to play against Marcus Bai, and the one thing, if you just come around that way, you knew where they were. They'd come flying in and, they could hurt you.
Well, I played with both. I played with Justin Olam and Marcus Bai. And it's good to have on your side.
Well, it's an amazing story. He's from not around Moresby. He's right up in there, pretty much near the Timor border.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing
And never
story.
played much rugby league as a young fella. Most Papua New Guineans love rugby league and play all their life, but went to school, went to university, and that's where he fell in love with the game of league.
Wishing Justin Olam all the very best for the future, but it is time now for our Sunday roast, what's hot and what's not in rugby league. Now, this was the biggest story of the season so far, one of the biggest stories in recent memory. Daly Cherry Evans with the bombshell announcement that he is leaving Manly at the end of the season turned into a bit of a circus this week, and you honestly could not have scripted what unfolded.
Will he play on? Will he retire? Or will he do the unthinkable and move to another club? The future of Daly Cherry Evans has been one of league's biggest talking points.
The Manly skipper has decided he will not be playing at Manly, but here's the twist. Cherry Evans is going to make himself available to potentially join another club.
I felt like it was best after yesterday's game to come out and just openly say no more footy at Manly beyond this year.
This is big. Now we've heard from the hierarchy at the Manly Seagulls live on air saying they're going to counter this with a 2-year offer to DC, so this is far from over by the sounds of it.
Would you accept that if that is the case?
Look, respectfully, no.
I just want to clarify at this point, there's no animosity between Daly and the club. There's no problem with Daly and me. There's no problem with Daly and the coach. If Daly does play in the NRL, we want him to play with the Manly Seagulls.
I think there's already been a deal done. And what's the club you played for?
Well, what wouldn't he?
Roosters.
Yeah, well, they've got plenty of space, put it that way.
I get the feeling that he's well and truly playing into next season. Yep. And he'll be in Sydney somewhere.
Yes, Daly Cherry Evans no doubt will dominate the headlines for the weeks and months to come. Joey and Freddy, we heard a little bit from you guys on your show during the week, but Billy, keen to get your thoughts as his Queensland coach. What was your initial reaction when you did hear the news earlier in the week?
Well, I was surprised, probably like most people. Been at the club for 15 years, his whole career. He's the last remaining premiership player from 2011. And he's been a wonderful servant. So I was quite surprised. And given the form that he is in right now, that the club hasn't allocated, any further funds for Daly to go on. Look, I understand the situation. The club's got every right to look to the future when they've got a player that's 36. They've got an obligation to look to the future, but Daly's got an obligation for his career as well and his family. And to be fair, I think he's well within his rights to do what he's done. There was no deal on the table through the off-season. And then when a deal did come, it was probably at half price. So, I think the situation is a little bit disappointing that, the game doesn't have an allocation for a player like Daly to remain at the club that he's played his whole career at.
I don't know if it's so much the money. From the way all the talk that's gone on, I don't know.
Do you think the money's fair, Bud?
Oh, well, that all came very late.
The number that was tossed up was
but the money came late. The money came as he was getting interviewed on Channel 9.
No, we were speaking about it last weekend.
He got offered something last year, didn't he?
Was it 600,000 or something?
The
With
latest
market
one they
value,
put forward was 700.
Well, the market value at the moment with sort of zero really high-quality playmakers coming through, him on the market, he could get upwards of $1.5 million. If you have a look at the Dylan Brown contract, obviously, that's the market value at the moment. And don't worry about 36. If Daly wants to, he'll play to his 40. He's so durable.
I don't feel like it's all the money, though. The way it is all unfolded, they say there's no animosity, but I don't think there's much warmth either.
Yeah.
He's come out on a TV show and said, I'm not going to play for Manly, the place he's spent, biggest chunk of his life. I think it's got a lot more to do than just money.
Well, the club who has the money will be the Roosters, I have no doubt. He'll be there. Brendan Smith moves on, he'd be upwards of 800-900. Chad Townsend retires, there's 300, 250. So there's 1.1. And then we know how many players they lost last year. So there's a war chest there. I have no doubt he'll be at the Roosters.
I can't imagine. Like, you know Daly better than everyone. And, like, just watching him, I know him to talk to, but like just watching him, he looks like he's very collected and, you know, he's measured. He's measured. Yeah. So I can't imagine someone at 36 would risk actually putting themselves out there for the rest of the year and to say that I'm not going to, you know, pick a team or where I'm going to go to next year. I just can't imagine that.
The other thing, he's got great character as well. Like he's been loyal to this football team and this club, and he's probably felt a little bit disrespected in terms that there hasn't been an offer put forward to him throughout the off-season, and this hasn't been sorted out, and there hasn't been a future foreseen at the club. So, you know, he's probably come out early and just went, well, OK, well, the writing's on the wall for me. I'm going to make my own decision. I'm not going to sit here and wait. And he's playing some great football at the moment. He's probably playing as good as he's ever played. Yeah. So wouldn't surprise me if he was the best player on the field this afternoon in that match against the Eels.
Have you spoke to him about Origin? I know. I'm not saying have you spoke to him. So you've been on the phone? How was he?
No, not about Origin. Look, I suppose whenever you get to that age, you know, the conversation always comes up. Daly's always been very passionate about playing for Queensland, and I don't think that's changed. So the actions that he is putting in on the field says that, you know, he's going to play. I would be surprised if, you know, he didn't play, but that's again his decision. And those conversations will happen over the coming weeks. But we've got a great relationship. I played with Daly and obviously spent the last few years as the coach of his footy team.
It'd be more next year, and if he does sign with another team, that'd be a conversation mostly between them and Daly, talking about his age and where State of Origin sits, and, you know, obviously he'd have an opinion as well.
And the other thing that Daly focuses on is, you know, he feels he's got to earn every opportunity to play for Queensland as well, and that's what he's doing right now with his performances.
Well, we've seen the Roosters in the past, the model of bringing Cooper Cronk to finish his career. They got 2 premierships. I also think that it's a way for Daly and Sam Walker to educate Sam Walker the way he plays. I just think it's a no-brainer for the Roosters, especially at the moment when they're struggling for a world-class half.
Could this derail Manly? And I'm not talking this year. That has the potential, obviously, with the noise. But next year and beyond, we all know what's happened to South Sydney when Adam Reynolds left. Have they made this call too early?
Well, that's, as I said, there's no real world-class quality halves who are going to be on the market. Obviously, the one we keep hearing is Jamal Fogarty from the Raiders.
The other theory is move Brooks to 7, and then you've got Tom Trbojevic that can move up into 6.
Will that work?
Could you imagine Tom? Like, Tom's an athlete. Tom's 6'5". You imagine him bending over making tackles. Like, he has troubles with injury at the moment.
And if the thought process is to reduce the workload, to take him away from, like, it's going to increase the workload.
Well, we saw when Kalen went to 5'8" of the Knights, it was a disaster.
Mate, they've just invested. They've invested in 2 young kids, Anthony Large and Joey Walsh. I know them both. They play with my son. Great young players, tough kids. Both can kick.
18?
19, so they'll be 20 next year.
Anthony Large, the raps on him are huge.
He was at the West Tigers and it was only last or this year that he went to Manly. But Joey Walsh is a Manly junior, went to school at St Augustine's, played Union League. Both really quality kids coming through. Whether, you know, Luke Brooks has most likely got to be the one to say, well, you know what, it's on me now.
Yeah.
You know, he sort of didn't do that very well at the Tigers, but he gets a great opportunity because he's got a great forward pack.
Different team around him,
Yeah, massively different.
I don't think it'll derail Manly this year.
Really?
Because of one man, Jake Trbojevic. I have no doubt Jake will gather everyone and he will galvanise the team and galvanise the club, without a doubt.
It's hard to say no to Jake, isn't it?
It's the biggest challenge. It's the biggest challenge.
He's crying.
It's the biggest challenge of Jake's captaincy or leadership. And I've no doubt he'll excel at this time.
So where to now for Daly? We're saying the Roosters. Where to for Manly? Potentially Tom Trbojevic, but...
No, that's ridiculous. Playing Tom 5.
No.
No?
No. Well, Tom's played his whole career at fullback. I know in representative football he plays right centre. But defensively, defend where the half does, it's a big toll on your body. And also, how many reps, how many times do you reckon Tom's tackled someone? In juniors, no one would run near him, I'd say.
No way.
So
that's a big no from
Well, we
you.
saw Kalen. Kalen went to 5'8", and his defensive technique wasn't there because his whole career he's played fullback. When you're a kid, you get your reps up tackling from the age of 5, 6. So that's a no for me.
That's a no from you.
Definite
That's an
no.
all-round no. What about the
Take
game?
him 3 seconds to bend over. He's that tall. Yay.
Can we get that in slow-mo, please? Yeah. What about the game in general? So, I mean, trade windows, it's been on the agenda for the last couple of years and it constantly comes up. But Andrew Abdo did say on 2GB yesterday that it is the highest priority now because he said after the start to the year that we've had DCE, Dylan Brown...
They've just signed a
Jaden
collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah. So the RLPA were not keen on that, but he's now...
Like,
if there's a way they can make it
rugby
happen.
league at its best, just make it up on the run because they've just signed an agreement with the players. Like, at some stage, you need to stick to a contract. And, you know, they've gone in and said, well, we want, you know, the window starting from November or whenever it is for our players to be able to go and, you know, bargain with other teams. So
The other thing is the biggest story in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season was Dylan Brown. Now we've just spent the first 10 minutes of our show talking about Daly Cherry Evans and this situation, it creates interest, it creates headlines.
I was at a different sport last night and there was people behind me talking about Daly Cherry Evans.
So, in a sense, you're saying it's not... Well, it's not a bad thing for the fans because...
Oh, I'm saying the game don't
a
look at it
talking
as
point.
such a bad thing.
Yeah.
With
As in
the
any
trade,
publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, and the trade window would certainly hype the trades around that period and that would be interesting as well. So, but I'm just saying it's not all bad.
I think the biggest thing is what's gone at Manly. From a point of view of you've got a player who's been there the longest out of everyone and he's come out on a TV show and said that I'm not playing for this club anymore. The fact is he didn't sit down with the boss next to each other and talk about the future of them and the club. That's the problem. And the problem's mostly on Manly's side because they've obviously haven't done their due diligence because someone Daly coming out, you know, telling his future on a TV show, not in Manly
Two
colours.
separate parties, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
He asked for a release last year, start of the year, by all accounts.
Yeah.
So something's gone wrong there at the club. Anyway, it's no one's business.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well,
It is.
we could go on for hours about this and probably this will be the talking point for months to come, but stay with us. There is plenty more coming up on the show. Upsets galore so far in this round. The mighty Red V get their first win of the season. The Doggies undefeated at the top of the ladder. See you soon.
Hey, Preston! He's done a little magic trick. Sherry! Bulldogs score on the left. Kennedy scores. Canterbury. They flex. How strong have they been?
Yes, the Doggies are the real deal. 20-6 over the Sharks in Cronulla. Their best start to a season since way back in 1993. And as Gus says, they don't have parties. They shut down suburbs. They would have been going off last night. Plenty of attacking highlights. But what was perhaps most impressive, Freddie, was the defensive display that we saw from the Dogs. One of the best we've seen in recent memory.
Yeah, they're committed. They're a really good footy team. They play aggressive, and that just means anyone who comes into the team, if they play aggressive, they'll fit into their system. They're in your face. They save tries. Great try save from the front rower, Harry Hayes. And Kurt Mann also come up with an absolute ripper as well. But they've got a really easy game plan. They kick into that corner, and Bailey Hayward did a wonderful job kicking that left-hand corner. Jacob Preston, who's normally the right, he went over to the left. And he just took over Viliami's role, just went down and just gathered up their wingers and fullback, put a heap of pressure on them, and they don't stop.
It's aggressive, but it's calculated aggression. Like, they're not over the top. They actually got it put on them right at the start of the game by the Sharks. This was an incredible contest. This was a semi-final feel game, and I thought the Sharks were right up for it at the start of the game, the first half, as you know. But the Dogs just had that controlled aggression the whole time. Their kick chase is incredible. I've said it off the top. They work as hard, if not harder, than any other team in the competition. So, yeah, full credit to the Sharks. They were amazing.
Cameron Serraldo, the coach, needs massive, massive rap because they have a lightweight pack. They've got players, Kurt Mann, wouldn't be over 92 kilo. Josh Curran's lightweight. Moran's lightweight. Even Max King's lightweight. But they play a style of footy and attack where there's a lot of passing, there's a lot of offloads, which suits their style. They move teams around. They're not going dummy half run, dummy half run, dummy half run, hit up. They're passing in the line, their skill level, especially on the left side. Bailey Haywood, exceptional, tough. I thought there's a premiership within 5 years. I think the next, maybe even this year. This year, next, there's a comp in them in 3 years, without a doubt. They're a top 4 team. They've had players out. They've got some injuries, but they just keep winning. When Burton comes back in, Kickout comes back in, wow, look out. They are a premiership threat.
Everyone is doing their job and they're a 7 out of 10 or higher. Sexton, how good is Satili Tupanua playing?
Oh, whacking blokes, isn't he?
Unbelievable.
The thing I noticed, I reckon, the difference was they were willing to play out of trouble as well. So when
It's that ball movement.
the washing machine was going on and the pressure was on the game, they were still passing and shifting the ball. I didn't really see that from Cronulla as much. And I thought they executed really well. It's a couple of real pressure passes on the left-hand side and they made some yards and, you know, they didn't get too over-carried away with just making the, you know, the distance and the metres. But I thought that was the biggest difference in what I saw in the two teams. There's a level of bravery with the ball in an attack and coming out of trouble.
Well, once again, it's the big game, and Cronulla don't aim up in a big game, which is going to hang over them. Big game in Vegas. They didn't get it done against an under-strength Penrith. And look, I don't know how Craig Fitzgibbon rebuilds Nico Hines' game. At the moment, he is just so low on confidence. Trindle's doing pretty much all the kicking, and he's the dominant playmaker. And you know, when the game was on the line, I sort of didn't see Nico the last 10, 15 minutes. I really don't know how they rebuild his confidence.
Well, he plays your position, Joey. If you were working at the Sharks, what conversations would you have with Nico?
I really have no idea. I don't know how to rebuild it. Yeah. You know, from a halfback's point of view, I'd be saying, get your hands on the ball more. Like, when the game is on the line, you want your halfback handling the ball 2 or 3 times a set. Didn't see that.
Well, the one thing they do well...
I really don't know how you would rebuild someone's confidence when, compared to when he was the best player in the comp a couple of years ago to where he is now. I don't know how you build back up to when he was that best player in the comp.
I think he plays just as well when Braden actually takes over. In the games where they work together pretty well, they make sure they pass to each other as much as any halfback and 5'8". Their first try came off them two passing the ball to each other. Well, I find when Braden's in trouble, when he's in control, actually, I think it works better between both of them.
When they play together, they look a lot better. But last night, they were split on either side. And as you said, the first try, they played with each other. Yeah. It's the name of the game. The halves have got to get together. But you wear the 7, and there's big responsibility. Also, look, big money. Come big money and wearing the 7, there's big responsibility. So I don't know how Craig Fitzgibbon... how he rebuilds him.
Kaolero, he went off...
Hamstring?
Yeah, hamstring during the game. He's been playing really strong. And, you know, Dan Atkinson, you know, just got found out a little bit up against Stephen Crichton. That was saw one of the tries just there. So, now they had to shuffle on the run. Sifa Talakai also went off, so they were down on troops.
Would you go Atkinson 5'8", Nico to fullback?
No.
I
think Will Kennedy's playing really well.
But I'm saying...
If you wanted to change things up, change the number on their backs and change their sides. Put Trindle over on the right, Trindle's the halfback, play the game as a halfback, and Nico can just play as a 5'8" and a runner.
So you'd do that?
Well, if you wanted to change something. I don't know if you know, changing numbers or changing sides is going to change things, but if you're looking for a change, that could be a positive one.
Alrighty, well, the Cowboys had a great evening. Their first victory of the season coming over the Raiders. And you could just see the relief on Todd Payten up in the box and that press conference afterwards. It was a tough month, but great to see them get the job done and a great performance as well, Joey, from their halves. Yeah,
Jake Clifford, he's always had the talent, Jake. But the big talent challenge here is consistently doing it week in, week out. I thought he was the best player on the field. Got a great kicking game. And his running game, he's big for a halfback. So the challenge for Jake is to do it week in, week out and on the road. But he's got so much talent.
Seen him do that before. That's not the first try he scored in the NRL like that. The young lad in the left centre position, Purdue.
He's an ear gun.
He's a player and a half. and still looks only very immature in his physique. So he's going to grow into a really good player. Yeah, Canberra are a little bit off their best, but the Cowboys, they just needed to find a way to win.
He's a competitor, isn't he? Tom Dearden, he just wants to win everything. I can imagine the training, fitness. He'd just want to win everything. He's so tough.
What about, there was a moment where I'm sure Raiders fans would have been a bit frustrated watching the bomb try from Xavier Savage. But Bill, was that so much a bomb try or more great work from Scotty?
Well, it looks like a bomb try, but I was watching this and I was like, well, Scott Drinkwater, I'm not sure if you can see it in the angle, but he does a great job just to put Xavier Savage in two minds. Like it is a bomb try because it's a 2-on-1 on the fullback. But Scott Drinkwater is a very smart player, and you just see he just leans to the inside and looks in and then comes back. Just puts the fullback in the ball runner in two minds. He did a wonderful job. Xavier Savage thought he was in for his try that was going to put his team in front, but Scott Drinkwater usually gets the raps for what he does with the football, this time defensively. The
right-hand side of Canberra's defence was awful. There was the first couple of sets, the Cowboys shifted to the left-hand side and made meters. Purdue went through once, and then the winger went down the sideline as well. And that was just, as soon as they saw that was it the whole game. They just kept going down there. Tim McCall, his defence was dreadful.
Well, Garrick, he got 4 tries last week.
Savage was outside him.
Made a line break out of his own end. He had a good game.
Yeah, Nanai was good. Be interesting when you look at the way the coaches handled this, because he dropped Nanai. Clifford was on the extended bench nearly from the start of the season. And you got to, at the end of the year, you think, as he sort of timed that nicely, where he sort of, held them off, made them change their attitude for whatever reason, and it comes good because, I think Parramatta are going through something similar at the moment. They've got Ryan Madison, extended bench, Bryce Cartwright. I think there's someone else there, Kelma Tawalangi. These are all players that he's not picking at the moment. They're playing these kids while they're not going that well. So, it's a long season and the good coaches get it right.
And a nervous wait for the Raiders as well, with Josh Papali'i and Joseph Tarpany put on report. Stay with us, the Red V, my goodness, they were partying all night long, their fans, no doubt. Not just their first win of the season, but against Premiership favourites, the Melbourne Storm. Will dissect it all after this short break.
Now Little! Oh, Jacob Little! Off the bench with great effect. Driven backwards, carrying backwards, all the way into the end goal. The Dragons get their breakthrough win of 2025 against the Knights of Melbourne.
How good. It wasn't just any victory for the Red V. It came against Premiership heavyweights, the Melbourne Storm. And as we heard from their coach, Shane Flanagan, after the match, it wasn't pretty, but he praised their desperation. And, Billy, they just absolutely never gave up against one of the best outfits in the competition.
Yeah, they dragged the Melbourne Storm into a dogfight and they fought harder off the bye. They had 2 tight losses in the opening 2 rounds against the Bulldogs and South Sydney, and it was wet conditions, but they just fought harder. They defended well, willing to give away penalties, and they certainly deserved it. And, this is how a lot of their victories are going to come, where they're just going to have to get down and dirty and fight and want the game a little bit more than their opposition.
I thought Melbourne was softened by the weather.
Yep.
They just didn't have that look about them. There's always this level of intensity about Melbourne that you normally see, even when they do lose. But I've got to say, I didn't see that at all. And the Dragons gave up. They could be very unreliable, the Dragons. They scored 2 tries, then dropped the kick-off or did something off the kick-off. I'm like, if you're the coach, you're going crazy. Every time you want them to, finish a set and, stick into the game for 5 minutes, they'll drop the ball and come up with errors. But Melbourne were just worse. I thought they were very sloppy.
Melbourne's form?
No.
They're missing key players.
Yeah.
Obviously, Nelson wasn't there, Jerome Hughes.
Look, they weren't at their best, but it's a long season. It's hard to be at your best, and we've only had 4 rounds. And look at the inconsistency in pretty much every team except the Bulldogs. You're not going to be perfect all year round. No Jerome Hughes, first time travelling, and they made 15 errors. So I thought the Dragons defended their try line incredibly. It was all the Melbourne Storm. They probably had more opportunities to attack the opposition try line than the Dragons. So, you know, I don't think you can take too much away from the Dragons.
They're a big team, the Dragons, especially their outside backs, their
Sewell.
centres. Huge.
Sewell was good.
Sewell was
Sewell,
good.
he's aggressive, isn't he?
Must have been pleased with him.
Yeah. Oh, look, he's had a really good 18 months, Jaden Sewell. You can tell he's really fit. He's aggressive and he goes after his footy. When he's playing like that, he's a great back rower to have. And you saw that play right at the end of the game where he grabbed Xavier Coates. This one here just holds him up and, you know, wasn't content with just tackling the Melbourne Storm for another couple of tackles. Puts him back in the end goal, and that was the end of the game.
Harry Grant had the knee strapped up. Do you know anything how his knee is, Harry?
No, I haven't spoken to anyone, but
He said after the match it was okay.
Yeah, he copped a bit of a bump when he got back, and I think they made a little bit of a line break, and he picked up the ball and got tackled, and he played on. So you know, it takes a fair bit to get Harry off.
What about someone like Jacob Little, who was a bit of an unsung hero yesterday?
I can't ever believe he left West. I just saw him as a West kid come through. I just thought the whole club was not going to be built around him. I had that sort of expectation on him. He was that good a player as a kid coming through. I think he had an injury or so.
He had a couple of knees, didn't he?
Horror run of injuries, like a couple of knee injuries. I think at one time he did ACL, MCL at the same time.
Oh. Well, he scored a try close to the line here. This is it here.
He's a try scorer.
He scored one a few weeks ago off a quick tap. He ran 50 metres. He looked like the fastest player in the NRL. He must have some speed. He's very underrated in terms of the speed that he has. That was an incredible try a couple of weeks ago.
65, I think it was, because actually we went into the archives and Robbie Farah actually scored a longer one from 70. So that's the longest. If anyone's out there and can find another hooker try, that's gone longer than 70. But, yeah, he's an athlete.
Damien Cook might have scored a long one. He's got a bit of speed.
He is fast.
Robbie Farah, 70 metres.
Yeah.
Can old Robbie run 70 metres? Back in the day.
Yeah, you know what he's like. Yeah, the ball in two hands, he threw 30 dummies. It's like that. And everyone just kept
Took him
holding
3
off.
minutes to get there. Sorry, Robbie.
We love you, Robbie. The Red V fans were loving it, but there was one particular fan which caught our eye in the sheds. Old Johnny Howard.
He loves it. I've got to say, when you go, like, you know, Mark Taylor, there's so many really passionate Dragons fans, you know.
Yeah.
Like when they finally get their moment, which is, whether it's the back end of this year or they just love the Dragons. They love the colours, they love the team, they love the club. It's good
on you to the Dragons. The competition's doing well when the mighty Red V are doing well. A little bit later on in the show, we are going to go into the archives and relive some of our favourite memories from some Ashes tours over the years with, of course, the news that it is coming back at the end of the year for the first time in 22 seasons. But for now, we are going to head over to Joel Kane at Sportsbet. Good morning, Joel.
Good morning, Em. How you doing? Big game coming up for Parramatta and Manly. Look at the start here. This start is absolutely massive to the point where they're kind of saying, Parramatta, you better start now. No, kickoff's a bit later. This is a huge start here. Will the rain help? We don't know about that. Now, this is the problem. Jason Riles, the new coach, he's been playing Hungry Hippo. Problem here, and then all of a sudden something's happened over here. They're conceding points inside their own half. They're conceding points on the edges. It is problematic. And one of the guys on the edges, the new father, Ruben Garrick, 4 tries last week. He put the cape on, but he's got a great record against Parramatta anyway. Look at this, so many tries in very few games for Ruben Garrick. So 2 or more tries, we look this way. I think the value is with Ruben Garrick. That left-hand side for Parramatta problematic. Now, in the words of the great, I think it was a Manly fan, Nat King Cole, he said, it's better to have loved and lost than to have never loved at all. Guys, come on, get around Daly Cherry Evans. We're going to lose him, but you loved him, didn't you? Get around him. West Tigers take on the Warriors. Have a look at the price here. Can you believe this? The West Tigers, $1.55. I'm going to zig and zag here. I do think they get the job done. Both teams coming off 2 big wins, but this young centre, he's a ripper. Ali Leotawa, Tigers to win, Ali to score. Enjoy your afternoon.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Almost no time left in the match. Stewart. Here it comes now to Lindner. We're well into injury time. 40 seconds, in fact. As it comes away to Stewart again.
a famous moment and a famous call from the late, great David Morrow from back in 1990. It gives us goosebumps and
I was in the grandstand.
Really?
How was it?
Oh, it was unbelievable. All the emus would sit together and...
Explain what the emus are.
The emus basically used to go away with 27, 28 players. So, and generally there was the team. You had the strongest players were in the top 17. So the rest of the players used to spend a lot of time together and they'll end up being called the emus.
Because on those tours, midweek you would play Wigan, Warrington, St Helens, you'd play the club teams.
Yeah.
Which
Hull,
was great.
You'd be playing all these grounds like, you're talking about, maximum capacity about 8,000 to 10,000 people, and they would just shove them in there.
Singing.
You could smell the alcohol on the breaths of them, and they would just hammer you. It was incredible. Some incredible grounds. Halifax. You was playing a ground in Halifax. It was like that.
It goes down sideways.
It was ridiculous.
With the wind or no? We'll run downhill, thanks.
No, it wasn't north-south like that. It was sideways.
So those initial ones, we used to go for a bit over 10 weeks. So I went on 2 tours. We used to do 8 weeks in England, 7 weeks in England, about 3 or 4 weeks in France.
The atmosphere, anyone thinking of going over, any Aussies or Kiwis, the atmosphere at the game is totally different to here. The singing and the pomp and ceremony, the way they do it before the game, but also they clap. If there's good footy, they'll clap the Aussies. This is going to be so good this year.
Well, you think back to all the tours that you went over there, and bits and pieces of the games come back, but it's more the feelings and it's the environment that you play in, and also the times you have outside of the footy as well. That's what you remember.
Well, that's one thing. I went away the last World Cup they had, and one of the things I noticed was the emus and how much fun they had. You're almost cheering to be an emu for the week, and then you can have a few drinks. And
what did you weigh when you come home being an emu?
The first year, I just made a disgrace of myself, basically.
Any stories you can share with us?
I come back about nearly 105 kilo at one stage. I come back, Gus dragged me in and just give me an absolute pizzling. And I tried to train every day for a month. I had to go to this gym and get flogged every day for a month. But no, they were incredible experiences. There was a time in France, I remember we used to do a bus ride from Paris down to the south of France. It was like an 8 to 10 hour bus ride. And you get on the...
That's at the start of the night.
Yeah, there's no sleep for a couple of days after.
So the tours, the tours are going to be a 3-game series.
Yep.
Wembley. So play in
all
London.
against England.
Play Wembley.
Hasn't happened in 20 years.
Then they'll play Everton's new stadium, which is up near Liverpool, or in Liverpool, and then in Leeds, which is 2 hours away from there. So, wow.
Ellen Road.
So good. They'll pack it out.
It was your favourite memory. It was at Wembley, wasn't it? Yeah.
The old Wembley. We won the '95 World Cup, and kicking a goal from the sideline. This was early in the game, and now it's an old dog track. So,
Rod Wishart.
When you kick the ball, when you kick from the sideline, you go back. Right next to it, see the greyhound track? So you go back and it's like half a foot. So, yeah, a little bit wobbly. In the semi-final, I kicked about 2 from 8. Bob Fulton hammered me all week. So I had the yips in this one, and then early in the game, nailed it from the sideline. That was a great game. What about the singing?
I remember walking out.
Land of Hope and Glory.
There was a massive ramp. So, because obviously where the Dogs used to match really come out of, but there was this huge wide ramp. You'd walk out and you'd sort of elevated, so you actually couldn't see the crowd. And then all of a sudden you'd hit the dog track and walk around, and then all the singing would be happening and all the way, and you used to line up in front of everyone. And I remember in 1994, like my mum sitting there, she's never been out of, Ashcroft, and she'd just be sitting there and you'd just be looking up and just looking around. This stadium was massive. It was an incredible experience.
Oh, how good is it going to be? It's going to be so... Remember, well, when you're young, your dad would wake you up to watch 86, 90. Those 82, 86, first time they went through undefeated, Invincibles and the Unbeatables, and then 90... They got beaten the first test.
They got beat. They had 12 players. Sean Edwards got sent off in about the first 20 minutes, and England beat Australia.
But it's the old enemy. Back in the day, they couldn't beat England in the 60s and 70s. Malcolm Reilly and Tommy Bishop and Cliff Watson, these players, and then Freddy, you got to play against Ellery Hanley and Gary Schofield. Just amazing, amazing players, and they play a different style, the English. Very open, fast attacking footy. This is going to be so good, these 3 games.
And they're getting competitive. They've got a lot of players coming over here at the moment. And the one thing it will do, it'll generate some interest and money into the English game, which needs it at the moment. So I think everyone wins here.
So, Freddie, we've put you to work to come up with your Kangaroos team if you picked it right now based on current form. So,
well, I was also thinking about who's injured at the moment as well. Like Dylan Edwards is out at the moment, so it was pretty much based on a team of right now. So I'd go with James Tedesco. I think what he's doing at the moment. The one thing you do need in these big games is just plenty of effort, people willing to put their hand up. The conditions over there can be pretty tricky. Xavier Coates and Zach Lomax on the wings, a couple of real targets, effort players as well. And then some real talent in the centres. Hamiso and Tom Trebojevic. Got Cam Munster, Nathan Cleary, although he'll be back this week. And I'm loving the way Big Tino's playing at the moment. Him and Payne Haas in the front row, I've got to say, that compete with any front row ever.
Yeah.
Isaiah Yeo, control the middle. Big Ola Kawatu, I've got to say.
Hamoli's played for Tonga.
Hamoli?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he hasn't had an opportunity much to play for Australia, so I'm not sure where his allegiance sits at the moment. Then Liam Martin on the bench, Carlin Ponga, I just couldn't imagine there being a better number 14 at the moment.
Keon
Kalamatangi, his versatility, plus Hudson Young as well. And Lindsay Collins, a straight up front rower. I think that's a pretty good footy team.
Fair side.
No Carrigan?
No Carrigan, no Angus. Ben Hunt is 18th. Yeah, just look at...
the Emus.
The Emus were good fun, let me tell you. Well, in the Emus, when I played, there was me, Alfie, Kevy Walters, the Penrith, Mark Geyer, Greg Alexander.
You come back fit from England, and not fit physically, I'm talking drink fit.
Drink fit.
Those pints are just, geez, you
Chris
chip your teeth on
Johns.
the first couple and then...
I got one story, actually. I remember, because we all went and got tattoos. We got drunk and we went and got tattoos on our butts. And I think Chris Johns is my roommate, and I heard all this noise in the shower, and I walk in, there's Johnsy rubbing his butt, thinking he could rub the tattoo off. So sorry, mate, it's here for life.
Who was some of your best tourists? Darren Britt. Darren Britt was the
good. Kevin
best.
Walters, he's a great fella.
The best.
Although, actually, like I said, sometimes
Good
you just get a
characters.
good affiliation with another club, and the Penrith and Brisbane blokes always got on really well. So, Alfie's, mate, there's not many better than Alfie.
Can't beat him.
He's hilarious. There's some stories about him.
We don't want to get in trouble, so we might hold the stories here,
We'll hold
and
the stories.
we can have some of the chat off air. But there's still plenty more coming up on the show. We're going to relive the Battle of Brisbane with the Broncos getting the job done. But as we head to the break, let's relive the Titans' comeback win over the Roosters.
Now the short side, Smith, cut out ball, Nwanga, Nitawasi. To play the ball. The group charges at them, spun his way in. Radley heaves it across the top. Play on. Here for Young, who spins. He got the ball down. Intercept taken by Jaden Campbell. He's got 60 to go. Coming across the field. Toya trying to reel him in. Campbell, though, won't be caught. Open side instead. The group. Quick hands. Forget the one. They'll get 4. And now Tino for Suamala Aui. Ball put down here. Cleaned up by Brimson. He'll run away. Get your streamers out on the golf.
Big opportunity now for Brisbane. Stags. Katoni. Welcome back to the NRL. Katoni Stags. Tries against the Dolphins and he extends Brisbane's lead.
Tony Staggs is back from injury, and what a match he had. The Battle of Brisbane, the Broncos getting the job done 20-12 over the Dolphins, who are still searching for their first victory of the season. Lots to like about this one for Broncos fans, but Joey, it's pretty hard to go past the masterclass of their veteran halves, Ben Hunt and Adam Reynolds, particularly their kicking game.
Well, I've got to say, Adam Reynolds is as fit and as free, running as free as I've seen him in years. So good. The experience of these halves, in particular Reynolds, his kicking game was a masterclass, especially in this wet. He just controlled it like a puppeteer. But these two halves, their experience, and they complement each other. And I've got to say, Ben Hunt has normally been a right side player. He's gone to the left and just adapted so well. They are the team to beat.
He's normally the player that gets the ball all the time as well. So he's done well just to sit back and allow Adam Reynolds to do his thing and and pick his moments. You know, you talk about the kicking game. He just sees the space every now and again, and he might have 4 or 5 kicks a game. Adam Reynolds does the majority, but his kicks are to space, and it just keeps the fullback honest. They're doing a great job. I must say, Reece Walsh is doing a really good job, especially without the football. He gets judged a lot on what he's doing with the football, but the Broncos are a much improved defensive team, and a lot of that has got to do with the way that he's organising the line and when he injects himself into the defensive line on their try line. So he's doing a great job, Reece.
He played the conditions. He played wet weather footy. He played tough. Don't think there was really any error, but it was entertaining, even though it was terribly wet and slippery. Both teams threw the ball around, especially coming out of trouble. It was such an entertaining game.
They did it well. A couple of times they shifted dead set, went from one sideline to the other in those conditions. First tackle off, receiving a kick.
Yeah.
And Reece Walsh is part of that. He had that nice one coming out of the end goal. Shibasaki scored 2 tries.
Yeah.
Mate, he went there in basically a trial, killing it. And Dean Mariner, he's been fantastic. So nothing better than watching a bloke grab an opportunity like that.
And they're getting rewarded for their efforts, obviously through the pre-season, but through their performances now. You've got Jack Gajewski, who's sewn up one of the back row positions. Corey Pakes got another opportunity.
Really good.
Well, Jordan Ricky actually made sure that was the play when he just stepped through and ended up setting up the try. That was nearly the play of the game because there was nothing in the game. Well, it was a very close game.
As you mentioned, very entertaining footy, which leads us perfectly into our new award, which we will be giving out every week, named after the one and only Fatty Vaughton.
Champagne Rugby League.
How about this razzle-dazzle from the Broncos? I mean, at times, Michael Maguire's heart rate would have been up just a little bit, particularly this one from Cowboys.
Selwyn.
Yeah, Salty got this in. This wasn't passion pop. This was A-grade champagne. That Verve stuff. Moe?
I mean, used to passion pop.
Passion pop.
Yeah, it wasn't
$1.99.
It wasn't Blue Light Discos back in Cessnock. 1986, just skull up. Oh, actually, yeah, do it responsibly. So entertaining. Well done, Broncos. Champagne.
Champagne. Can you do it
Top
in Fatty's
shelf.
voice?
No.
No. There we go.
Only Fat can do that.
They were good to watch, and Stags as well first came back from injury. Not just that, but there were some big hits as well. So we saw Pat Carrigan.
Pierre Cura.
That was a shock.
They would have been worse for wear, certainly on Saturday morning.
We were speaking about it during the game. Hemiso, he's the big hits. Carrigan just went whack. Tom Gilbert, his eyes were spinning. He had the angry head on for a while. And watch this shot. Billy, Hemiso, how do they bring him into play? And the other bloke, Herbie Farnworth, doesn't get the ball.
Just on Brendan Pierre-Cura, we've only just scratched the surface with him. I think he's got a wonderful ability to have a really good career. Obviously, he has to work hard to find his preferred back row position, but he's playing in the middle of the field. He's a wonderful player. How you get this guy into the game? Well, that's up to the coaches and his teammates. Obviously, Hemiso.
I think getting him.
Yeah, he's got a bit to do with it, but they've got to think about the game. Like, he's got an amazing ability and got great strengths, but gone are the days you can just do it all on your own. You've got to have your teammates create half an opportunity for you, and they've got to work out what are the best situations we can get Hammer in, and then they've got to go out and execute it.
Well, for me, I think they've got to work away from Herbie Farnworth, work over to the left-hand side of the field, make a dent, open the field up, and then let Hemiso bring the ball off the halves, obviously, to Herbie Farnworth. Herbie Farnworth's one of the best centres in the game, and all he's doing is run from dummy half. He doesn't get any early ball. I would hate to see someone like Steve Renouf playing in the modern game. He wouldn't get the ball. Freddie, you and the centres never get the ball.
I do like watching Herbie, though. I thought he had a go.
Well, he has a go, but they've got to get him more quality ball.
It's up to the coaches and teammates. They've got to create opportunities and situations to get them the ball in those pitches. So, yeah, a bit of work to do for the Dolphins.
Well, as we've spoken about, there were upsets galore so far this round. Wayne Bennett continues to work his magic at the Bunnies, getting a monumental upset over the 4-time defending premiers, the Penrith Panthers.
A dig in behind Kalama. Tungy dives on the kick. They on tonight. Johnston, you can strike another try off the tally. Flat pass, Moala. straight through the middle of them.
Yes, it was a first half blitz from the Bunnies, and in the end, a monumental upset over the Panthers. That's now 3 losses in a row for the defending premiers. But once again, Wayne Bennett just working his magic. Plenty had written them off at the start of the season when Cam Murray went down and Latrell Mitchell did his hammy as well. But, gee, they were good to watch, weren't they?
Well, I've got to say, Wayne's also got them at a good time. A couple of really poor years. They came 16th last year. So every single one of those players would have went away. And, you know, saw the coming of Wayne Bennett again as an opportunity to get motivated. They just all look different. They just look fit across the park. They look fit, strong. This young bloke's doing an incredible job as well in the absence of Latrell Mitchell.
The other thing leading into this one is they were quite poor against the Sharks the week before. All the effort areas of the game, their kick chase was poor. And that for Wayne Bennett is the easiest thing to fix, just to change their attitude in a short period of time. So they got that right against the Panthers, and the Panthers were, well, they certainly didn't help themselves in the first half, made a whole heap of errors, and the left-hand side for the Bunnies, they went to work and they hit some form.
Billy, what do you like about young Jai Gray? Latrell Mitchell expected back potentially this week coming against the Roosters, but would you like to see him still somewhere in the 17 because he's had a great opening months of the season? Yeah,
absolutely. I think he deserves that. Whether he gets it or not too sure. Latrell Mitchell at his best is the fullback for South Sydney. I love his courage. He's the smallest guy on the field. He dead set fit into the little bunny suit mascot wears, but he's a goer, and he's always in the game, whether he's got the football, whether he's defending. He's as courageous as they come.
Joey, for the Panthers, finding themselves in unfamiliar territory. So they haven't lost 3 in a row for 6 years and had to find themselves chasing on Thursday night. Obviously, yes, they've got no Dylan Edwards and no Nathan Cleary, so it was more difficult. They'll get Nathan back this week, but are they low on confidence, do you think? Or?
Well, the first half, so many errors, which we're seeing now. At one stage, they only had 28% of possession, hence the 28-0 at half-time. But undisciplined errors. They get Nathan back this week. I don't know how far Dylan is with the groin injury, but it's getting close to being a worry for them. They continue to lose top-quality players every year, which is very unfortunate.
New home ground?
New home ground, that could be something.
They haven't lost 3 in a row for 6 years. Yeah. 2019 was the last time. That's
pretty good effort.
Well, that's a great effort, but is it a concern that that's where they're at? Is before this run?
Well, possession evened up in the second half. They got a greater share. They scored 18 points, unanswered points. So that tells you possession.
And the Moses Leota try, to me, that's a try.
Absolutely.
That's just a try, and there, all of a sudden you got 15 minutes, and they're a try or 2 away from winning. So, and South, that was a problem. They just folded. They had nothing. They couldn't get back in the game.
Well, they've got the Cowboys this week, and Isaiah Yeo will be playing game 250. So you want to win anyway, but you want to do it as well for your
Nathan will make a huge difference.
I'm surprised
he will make a huge difference.
He hasn't. Well, he played against Melbourne. I thought he was good.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're seeing. I don't know why he hasn't had an opportunity, or, he sort of come out of Parramatta being one of the best juniors, in the game. Best kids coming through. You just can't find a spot.
Big month ahead for the Penrith Panthers, and a big segment coming up for us. It is the award-winning segment, Turn It Up. We have Rod Wishart in the house. Plenty of memories on and off the field to look back on. But as we head to the break, let's relive some of the boys' favourite Ashes memories from over the years as we count down to its return in 2025.
More than 70,000 wildly excited spectators packed historic Sydney Cricket Ground to its capacity.
Reporting on the first Test match played at the Sydney Cricket Ground between Great Britain and Australia. The Australian team are now out on the field of play, led by that great little player, Clive Churchill.
No other Test in the past decade had been preceded by as many incidents as this one. Sullivan kicks off for Great Britain, sending the ball into touch. Gets the ball out to Ashton, who races past Gasnier and scores again behind the post, his second try.
Graham Langland's being cheered by his players. Ron Coote holding him aloft with the help of Bobby Fulton.
Max Credit on a lovely ball. And just look at this drop forward, Craig Young goal. Beautifully dropped, and there's that man, Wayne Pearce. What
to try. A combination of front row forward play. He's miming to him because he doesn't know a word of English. Well, this boy can go, treating us to a spectacle. But a magnificent tackle from Des Drummond.
Pearce, he'll go from there, Pearce. Back out on the Lewis, the crowd have gone up here, Australia right away, again, Gary Jack, gets it on to Eddinghausen, and he'll score, he's teeing into the corner, Eddinghausen, Linda gets it to Lewis, Lewis will score, Australia again, Lewis under the post. Second one in the last few minutes, they've won against the feed, this is Offia, now we'll see his pace, away he goes, he beats Gary Jack, he's going to score.
Wide overruns it, it goes to Harrigan, and Harrigan makes great ground upfield. Look at the big man going, he's lost it. Oh, Lachlan, the intercept! Daly giving chase, but Lachlan will score! Lachlan has scored the try! Almost no time left in the match. Stewart, here it comes now to Linda. We're well into injury time. 40 seconds, in fact. As it comes away to Stewart again. Stewart throws the dummy. Now Ricky Stewart's on his own. He's up to the halfway. He's waiting for Eddinghausen. He's got support. Eddinghausen with him. Back it goes to Medina. And Medina tries. He gets scored. Oh, what a try. What a try. Dramatic stuff from Australia. Stewart throws the dummy. Meninga. Oh, it comes now to Eddinghausen. Eddinghausen with pace. Eddinghausen kicks in field. And Stewart had to play. Lions. And Lions have scored.
Jackson now, short ball and a good one. Great hands, Meninga. Beautiful play from Wishart. Meninga again, still travelling. Meninga gets it in. Gillespie, he won't have the pace, but he gets it. Jackson, Meninga started it. Meninga will finish it. What a stunner.
Clyde comes inside, gives it away for Welders. Welders is 7 metres out, gets it back, it's for Daly. Now it's away for Clyde. Clyde, he puts it over the line. Welders on. Stewart is with it. Through the hands for Daly. Touched by Great Britain. Daly, he scored his 10th try in Test football. And Stewart looks for his first Test try. Gets it away. Dean Pay scored. That's it. Australia retain the Ashes. And there it is, the trophy held aloft by one of the great rugby league players.
Official out there. That's not a good charge.
Charge down and a chance here. And Connolly has swooped on him. And Connolly tips the ball inside. And Peacock scores. Peacock scores for Great Britain. And front middle and Australia win. Matthew Johns, Romeo Davis, a face ball intercepted, and one of Illawarra's heroes, he's away. The try they've been begging and praying for comes for their favourite son, Rod Wishart.
Welcome to Turn It Up, and one of the great fellas you'd ever meet in rugby league, Rod Wishart, Gerringong boy.
Joey, great to be here. Great to catch up with you guys too. So yeah,
we saw that try there playing for the Illawarra Steelers. Young kids at home would know before St George Illawarra there was a team out of Wollongong.
Yes.
How was that? You're a Gerringong boy representing where you grew up.
Yeah. So as a kid growing up in Gerringong, that's all you did. So play for Gerringong, play rugby league. We grew up with Mick Cronin, who was playing for Parramatta. The Steelers weren't there back in those days, so he had to travel all the way out to Parramatta. So when I hit sort of grade, I had the opportunity to play for Illawarra, which is just up the road, and you still had the opportunity to still live in Gerringong, which is fantastic.
Which is God's country.
Yeah.
And it's flying down there now, the rugby league in Gerringong. How many players in the NRL or NRL system? Population 4,000?
About 4,000, and it's a bit of a hot spot at the moment. I reckon there's probably 7 or 8 guys that are playing NRL right now, and a couple on the fringe. So, but Gerringong's always had good footballers, and the South Coast, likewise, good breeding ground for rugby league players.
For junior footy. Volunteers.
A lot of the awards they've been giving out, Kiama, Shell Harbour, talk about a lot of those South Coast areas got so many people helping out.
You can't run a club without good people. And I'll speak about Gerringong, and Mick Cronin is instrumental with the Gerringong Footy Club, but he'll say that it's not him, it's the people around him, it's the people that turn up and put in the hard yards. There's plenty of them at Gerringong, and it shows on the football field, and now we're getting results in NRL as well.
One of those Gerringong products is your son, Tyron. What have you made of his career so far?
Yeah, he's going well. I'm proud of the way that where he is now and where he was probably 3 or 4 years ago. He's had some hurdles he needs to get over, some hoops to jump through, but he's stayed patient. He works really, really hard, and he joined the Storm, and since then he's come on.
Well, you can see the bull didn't jump the fence. He looks exactly like him.
Yes, he does. But if you ask my wife, she reckons we're nothing alike. She reckons I'm a lot more attractive.
Now you've got a daughter who's got a baby now to Ruben Garrick. So you not only got a son who's a footballer.
Yeah.
Was that a nightmare when your daughter came home with a footballer?
Oh, no, not necessarily. No, Ruben's a top bloke. Grew up in Gerringong himself, and they've just had our first grandchild, little girl Elsie, and he only got probably 3 or 4 hours sleep last week and scored 4 tries. So
wow.
I think he's a happy dad.
Joey used to do that most of the times anyway.
Yeah, that was every weekend.
Well, he scored 28 points, so he goal kicked a lot. You're a goal kicker.
Yeah.
And I used to love your style.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like Ross Conlon. Ross Conlon had a style. Did you copy Ross Conlon?
Actually, you know what? I did, because I thought, that might be something I need to, because he was a good goal kicker, and he was one of the first to sort of come around with the around the corner style back in those days, and I tried doing the Mick Cronin toe poke, but it just didn't work. So I thought, Ross Conlon's probably not a bad bloke to imitate. So I did that, but nowadays it's such a bad action. You need to be... So if I had the time again, I'd cut that out. But Ruben has got a really good style. Like all the other kickers now, they do a lot of work with their kicking, and percentage rates weren't as good when I was playing, I can tell you.
We were talking about the Ashes tours in previous segments. What's your memory of your time going over to England and touring with Australia?
Yeah, and look, it's probably the best times of my life, playing rugby league. So we did the '94 Kangaroo Tour, and and Freddy was there. So 10 weeks, close to a quarter of a year, we were over in the UK and France, playing with some fantastic players and good blokes. Camaraderie was so good as well. Staying in Leeds, and as you see some of the footage, and it was just, you look back and think how privileged I was to play with those guys, and hopefully we can get some kangaroo tours again in the future.
So Wish used to wear these high cap boots. I remember there was a game. There was a game where
I knew this was going to come.
There was a game where ET was slipping everywhere. It was a test match, and Bozo comes over and goes, "What are you doing, ET? Go and change your boots." I just got into him, and he goes, "Get Wishies, change with Wish." And he looked down and he goes, "Nah, they're ridiculous."
The high top. Why did you play those high tops?
Yeah, there is something behind this, I know. So when I was a kid, I had really bad ankles, so late teens, and I just kept on turning my ankles, and so the medical people said, "Look, you should be wearing some boots with good support, strap them up." So I did it for a couple of years. Anyone would think, I'd been wearing all my life, with you guys, but did it for 2 or 3 years, but I didn't do my ankle again, so it was all good.
After the Steelers, there was the merger between St George and Illawarra, and you were a part of that. How much of a change was that?
Yeah, it was a big change, and two cultures bringing together. And Illawarra, we had a lot of local guys from the Wollongong South Coast, so we were all country boys.
So you reckon there's a difference between city blokes and country blokes?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. So when we joined together, I think the St George guys found it hard to understand what we were saying. We were speaking a little bit slow, and they were going fast. Slow down. So, but eventually we all worked in together, and it was the merge sort of worked, and it took some time, but we got there in the end, and it took a while for us to get a first win. But we finally got to the semis and obviously made a grand final.
Was that your last game, the grand final?
It was, yeah.
What do you remember for that?
I remember it was, I started on the bench and, we had our opportunities and they were...
Do you think you were home?
Once at some stage I thought, if we controlled the ball and we did everything right, but you know how momentum works. We lost it and we couldn't get it back, and there's a few, people will say different parts of the game they'll blame that, but across the board, I think everyone's had a hand up on why we didn't win the game. We lost momentum.
You played with some interesting players over that time. What about Anthony Mundine? Obviously, unbelievably talented. Always spoke a lot. What was he like? Behind the facade.
He was great. Such a talent.
He's a great fella.
Yeah. No, real good, and very competitive as well, even at training, and I think that's the sort of his nature as a sports person himself too. So he had a lot to our club, and it was a different sort of fella. But combined with everyone, we all got on and obviously got the job done to get to a grand final, but we just couldn't finish it off.
Where was your loyalty yesterday? Your team played against a young fella.
Yeah, no, it's funny how things work, Billy. I think Melbourne, and it's funny how Melbourne was the team that beat us, and here I am supporting Melbourne now, and it's. Now I sort of understand how Melbourne work a little bit. You see what happens behind the play. I'm so happy that Tyron's at Melbourne and he's playing some good football, and they're coaching in there. Obviously, Bellamy, Craig does a fantastic job, but all the other coaches, they teach football players to be really good players. So, hopefully it's sort of rubbed off on Tyron, and hopefully he's got a few good years in front of him.
Surfing is a big part of your life?
It is. Yeah, it still is.
What's that mean to you?
Everything. I'll keep surfing until I drop. And the surf was good this morning, and I missed out coming here. But anyway,
sorry, Wishart.
That's the way it works. So surfing, playing golf, it's so good.
What about Origin? How good Origin? You played during that 92, 93, 94 era.
Yeah.
How good was Origin playing for New South Wales?
Well, I was lucky. I played in 9 series through the 90s. Started in 90, played every year to 98. So New South Wales won 6 of them. So it was a good era to play. Freddie, you were playing in all of those as well. So it was. I look back and we had some great coaches. Big Jack Gibson was my first coach, and Timmy Sheens, Gus. Gus was such a good coach, and I know it was probably just only Origin. We say only Origin, but he's probably the best coach that I've had.
It was good. How good was it?
He just made you feel good about who you were and what you were doing. And I've got a story that involves you a little bit too, mate, because in '95. We come in and you're in the team for the first year. I was doing the goal kicking up until then, and I thought, Joey Johns, he's a good goal kicker, and I like doing the goal kicking. So I did something I don't usually do, and spoke to Gus and said,
"You white-hand me."
I did. I did. I thought, right, I'm going to. I'll say, Gus, I know Joey's a really good goal kicker, but I've been doing it, and I'd like to do it. And this is the way sort of Gus is, and I'm not telling you anything you probably don't know, but. He said, Wishy, I'm going to tell you something. When I pick Origin, I pick players that have put their hand up. And there's other wingers that are faster and they'll score more tries and they're more evasive. And I'm thinking, where are you going with this one, Gus? So he said, but when it comes to Origin, I pick you because you've always got your hand up and you'll always do the best thing for your state. And he said, if you want to do the kicking, there you go. Kick the hell out of it. So, and he just made you feel so good about yourself and what you were doing. And
we lost 3-0 on the back of your goal.
What about you got right?
I didn't play the next time. You kicked it. I never got it back.
What about a moment where you got in the clear and Martin Langren you down the Queensland front row?
I wish you didn't say that. But anyway.
Here it is here on the screen.
Yeah. He's one of the fastest forwards in history, I think.
Go Wishart.
What can I say?
It was Matty Singh, mate.
Matty Singh, got you.
Matty Singh.
Yeah.
Young, fast Matty Singh.
Yeah, but look back at the whole Origin, process during the 90s was so unbelievable.
Rod, what do you do with yourself now?
Well, I'm still working. I've got a business we've had for about 20 years. So we do automotive paints.
Okay.
And I've got a very good business partner that runs the show pretty well. And
when the surf's good.
I'm winding down a little bit. We've got a good team of people, but do that and surf, play golf, look after now grandkids. Yeah. So that's the next phase in my life. And looking forward to it.
Nice.
What does sport do for business? You know, people always sort of try to create a likeness of both of them. Was being a footballer, how to work in your business?
Yeah, well, I think you can treat running a business like a sporting team, and for me, it was rugby league. Everyone's got their positions. You should have some leaders in there that lead by example. But at the end of the day, when when the going gets tough, you all work in together and grind yourself out. So. We try and do that. We've got a great team of people, and it's very, very similar.
What about some of the memories? Can you pick one of your greatest memories during your career?
It's really hard, you know. I always reflect back and not just one, but I really love running out at Wynn Stadium playing for the Illawarra Steelers. They're a crowd that just they support the team like no one else. So. I can't single out anything, but playing in Kangaroo Tours and playing Origin and stuff, I look back and it's just really hard to put one thing into place.
You got a greatest player that you've seen, played against, played with?
Yeah. There's a few, and you've got two over there that I'm so privileged to play with you guys, and you learn so much. From other players as well. I got to play with Paul McGregor. So a teammate would be Paul McGregor. But a guy that I've played with and against would have to be Bradley Clyde. I look at him and he just did everything. With the ball, in defence, he was a machine. As a winger, if the ball got kicked downfield, I'd be there to try and in. Clyde would push me out of the way and say, no, get back. Yeah, I'll take this one off. So that's what he was like. And I think if you had to single out one guy through the 90s that could play right now, Bradley Clyde would be one of them for sure.
Well, thanks for coming up, especially when the surf's pumping. And stick around, you're going to do the pass-off, yeah?
I don't do much passing.
This should be good.
I'll be there.
Anyway, stay with us after the break, more of the Sunday Footy Show.
Welcome to the passing competition. So no bloody arguments, you understand? No foot fault there, Greeny. And a 10. No pressure, Luke. This is one of the more important things that happens here on the Sunday, understand? Oh, beautiful. Rounds of applause.
Welcome back to the Sunday Footy Show. It is time now for Freddy's pass-off, and we have some representatives from the Chipping Norton Kangaroos. We've got Mandy Barrett, Club Secretary. We've got Ryder, Ted and Shiloh. Did I get that right? Yes. And now, Mandy, I might pass you the mic because it's a special year for the club, for the first time in a long time. Can you tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, so Chipping Norton Kangaroos are back in the Canterbury Bulldogs junior competition after 23 years dormant. We're very excited. A few of the boys that used to play at the club have now got their boys playing. So yeah, it's really, really exciting. We hoped to have 4 teams this year, and we're starting with 11, 6 of which are female. So we're pretty proud that we've managed to get it going.
And we're very excited to have you on. And Rod stuck around as well. So, Freddy...
You're a Dragons fan?
Huge.
Oh,
huge.
Wow.
Very excited. Very excited.
Starstruck being on here. OK, well, Freddy, I'll let you take it away.
OK. Well, you're up first, Rod. So behind the green line, you get 30 seconds each side. Kids, we need you around the back because he's going to throw a lot through that hole, aren't you?
You reckon?
Yeah, all right. So 30 seconds either side. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Hang on.
Jesus, Rod. Yeah, he's found his range. There's a 5. Shiloh, come up here. Yeah.
Come on, Rod. Yeah, here we go.
There's that one.
Oh, yes, Wishy.
Yep. Work. Oh, that's a 7. Yep.
Close.
3.
That's a 0.
Mate. No wonder
Swap
Mary's.
sides.
No wonder Mary's looking all battered.
Other
Get
side.
those balls.
Sides.
There's a 5. You got to throw more, Wishy. Oh, there's
Come
balls
on.
everywhere.
Wish. Oh.
Shiloh.
Not bad. 10 seconds to go, Rod.
Go on, Wishy.
Keep going, Wish.
I wish.
Oh, yeah, he's got the spiral going now.
Let's go. Winger in. Winger
Oh,
in.
yeah.
Winger in.
There's a great view from
One.
behind. And the passing's good too. Killed it.
Alrighty.
Your score will come up in a sec.
Not bad. Not too bad.
Who's your favourite?
Not too good.
Who's your favourite winger at the moment?
Ooh, there's so many to choose from, but the two at Melbourne, how can you go
Cope.
past those? Yeah.
How was
He's
that?
so humble when he scores a try. He just maybe a little fist pump, and that's all he does. So he's a good fella and a good
198.
Not bad.
What about that?
Not bad. I think you're towards the bottom of the
Not
list.
too
but
bad,
we do
not
have
too
the
bad.
leaderboard later. And then Ryder, are
Good
you
for
gonna
wingers.
You're going to be the rep. So Freddie, he's a bit closer.
Where are we at?
Yeah, he's a little bit closer.
Where's the line?
We'll just make one
Make
up.
it up. What about here?
Oh, that's a little, might
Is
be
that
too
too close?
close.
Okay.
It looks pretty savvy this
All right, I'm
way.
going to go behind here, Ryder.
Yeah, Shiloh down here.
Very good.
You've got this, Ryder.
Try to hit Billy in the head.
One ear's over the other side. Here we go. You ready to go?
All right, let's go, Ryder.
All right,
Ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
Come on,
That's
Ryder.
Nelly.
Keep
Got
going,
it.
mate. You got to throw a lot of them. That's it. Throw a lot. Keep going. There we go.
Yes,
Found his
good
range.
stuff.
Yes.
Yes.
Shiloh, go behind. Yep. Oh,
Yes. Come on, Ryder.
there's
Yes.
a 10. Keep going, mate.
All your mates are
5.
watching at home.
Put him on the wing.
7. Come on, mate. Don't
Yeah,
fatigue.
Ryder.
Don't fatigue.
Yep.
3
Oh,
to
Nelly.
go. 3 to go. 2.
There you go,
1.
mate.
Swap over.
There you go. 3 in a row.
Side.
Go,
Oh, you're
go.
in his way.
Oh,
Other side. Face. Yeah, that's
There you
it.
go. Bit higher.
Tough.
That a boy.
there we go. There's the 3. Come on, mate.
Good stuff,
Oh, that's
Ryder.
Good
Ryder.
pass.
Be the hole.
10 seconds.
Yep. No, it's on that side. Keep going, mate.
You've got this. 5 seconds, Ryder.
Quick,
Good
quick.
stuff.
Quick.
Boom.
Yo.
Go through. Go through.
Yo.
Go through. And again. And again.
1.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, finish with a 10.
Good stuff. Round of applause
Great
for
work.
Ryder, everyone. Good job, mate. Come in close while we're going to have a drum
Fatigue,
roll.
chasing balls around.
In a few seconds, we're going to, everyone get in close. Let's take a look at Ryder's score, 223. Good stuff.
Oh, nice, Fred.
We're going to have the leaderboard after the break. So thank you, Ryder. Thank you, Wishy. We're going to see what the tally is. So see you very shortly on the Sunday Footy Show. Calling all future broadcasters, our brand new Sunday Footy Sidekick competition could have your child hosting their own segment, interviewing players, chatting to the experts, even calling in the commentary box. Simply scan the QR code on your screen, upload a video and tell us in 25 words or less why your child is perfect for the job. Very much looking forward to meeting our Sunday Sidekick this afternoon. Before we do get to that match, we have the leaderboards from Freddy's pass-off. So we've done some calculations, and in terms of our guests, so Ronaldo Mulatalo still at the top, Rod Wishart, back down in 4th. Not too bad. Just
beating
edges
a
out the wiggle, only just. It's a little bit embarrassing. We love you, Rod.
Dinosaur next week.
And as for the kiddies,
Wish you feel better.
Great effort from the Chipping Norton Kangaroos. They're in 3rd spot at the moment. Narrabeen Sharks still at the top. And the kids today are going to go away with a footy pack. So thank you so much for coming on. Looking forward to meeting more guests next week. But this afternoon, we are heading to Four Pines Park. Lots of attention, no doubt, is going to be on Daly Cherry Evans after the news during the week. It's dominated the headlines. They are up against the Eels. How do you think, Bill, he's going to handle... I mean, he's the ultimate professional. He's the captain of the club, but with the extra attention and question marks over whether or not the fans will boo him or whether they'll accept him once again.
They're not going to boo him.
Well,
no way.
I think he'll be brilliant. I think he'll be in the top handful of players on the field. Manly average 7 tries at home this year. They've played 2 games and they've scored over 40 points on both occasions. So I'm expecting them to turn it on. They get Tom Trbojevic back. And no, I don't think so. I think Daly's given this club so much. He's the only premiership player for the club in the team. And I think the fans will respect that, and I think they'll respect him.
Tom's back. Be interesting. They've been sold out now pretty much since the first game of last year. Weather's not fantastic, so I can't wait to see a full brookie 4 Pines with their ponchos on.
Let's
It'll be
hope the
a
rain's
great
not
afternoon.
today. Joey, what do the Eels need to do? I mean, they come in once again as underdogs, but what will they need to get right today to get the job done?
They need to get their defence right, for one. Their edge defence has been really poor. In particular, their left side, they've got to sort that out. You're out of form, you strip it back, and you concentrate on your defence. So defence, number one.
Got the Fox up against Josh Adokar, not the Fox. Up against Jason Saab. A couple of real spooksters.
Who do we back there?
In a race.
Over 100, Saab.
I have to interview Josh Adokar, I'm going to ask him.
Over 40, I'd go Fox.
It was good to see Fox out there last week, wasn't it? It was a great interview after the match about how he's really bought into the club and wants to be a mentor to everyone. So hopefully he puts on a show for us today.
He's got a real liking for the coach. Obviously spent time with Jason Riles in Melbourne. And you know, he's wholehearted, the Fox. He turns up every day, smiling, works hard. So he'll keep improving, and you know what? So will they. They'll keep improving.
They were a lot better last week, Parramatta. So if they can keep finding those incremental improvements, you know, the Fox has got a lot to do with that. He is on that left-hand side, so he's a great talker, great communicator, and a really strong defender. So, you know, I think they'll put it to Manly. I just think Manly will just have a little bit too much firepower.
Well, we're heading straight out there after this show. Coverage from 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. It is our Sunday afternoon footy. Manly up against Parramatta, all live and free right here on Nine's Wide World of Sports. See you in a sec. Welcome back. A big episode of 100% Footy tomorrow night. Straight after maths around 9 p.m. Cam Smith on the panel once again. Zach Lomax, special guest from the Eels. Wonder what breaking news they have in store for us after a huge show last week with that Daly Cherry Evans news. Speaking of news, the charges have just come in, so the list is very long. Emre Gula, 3 matches at least for a crusher tackle. Satili Tupanua gets 1 match for that hit on Braden Trindle. And some relief for Ricky and his Raiders. So Josh Papali'i only gets fines. Nothing for Joseph Tarpany, a fine also for Corey Horsburgh. And Reid Marnie has escaped with fines as well. So relief there. So Satili Tupanua, 1 match. Emre Gula, 3 matches.
Canberra.
Yep.
That's live and free Thursday night. They play the Sharks.
Up against the Sharks.
Down in Canberra.
Yes.
So that'll be
we have that match. This afternoon we have Manly and the Eels. And the other match on tonight is the Tigers and the Warriors. This one is at Campbelltown Stadium. Who are we leaning towards for this one? Gents, Freddy, you first.
Campbelltown, I've got to go with the Tigers. I've enjoyed watching them. They were brilliant last week, so going with them.
Joel Kane's theory, the buffet. So Tigers.
I'm loving what the Tigers are doing, and Benji Marshall's got his troops playing well, so Tigers for me.
It's a very good emblem.
The Tiger.
Angry Tiger. Very good.
Tiger.
Tiger, Tiger, Tiger. Maybe the top 8 for Benji and his Tigers this year. Hope you enjoyed the Sunday Footy Show this week. We'll see you all out at 4 Pines Park at Brookvale this afternoon. See you then.